Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean. This is In The Mixer as we continue our hashtag United series in Football Manager 2019. It's episode 10. I thought when we were starting that we may never even get to episode 10 because we've had other series that we've tried to do, attempted, gotten them out there. They haven't worked out for whatever reason, timings, failures of saves, whatever else, but we've made it to the end of the season and what a phenomenal season we have had. I refused to talk about it at the start of the last episode, but we can now start talking about an invincible season, a hashtag Invincibles theme, an undefeated year. We have one game remaining. So far, 31 wins, 4 draws, wrapped up the league title forever ago. 3 points today will get us 100 points for a season, which is absolutely phenomenal. It would be a record that I think we would set and struggle to beat or match throughout the course of this series. We could go and do another 15 seasons after this, and we are going to struggle to have the sort of year and sort of dominance in a division that we have right now. We're currently 34 points ahead of the team in second place, Braintree Town Reserves. You look at the stat line here, 99 goals scored, best in the competition, 24 conceded, the best in the competition, 23 yellow cards is the fewest of any team. Red cards, we haven't had any. Our average attendance is the highest in the division. We've had some phenomenal performances, goal scorers, assist getters, whatever else throughout the course of the season. And all I want is to get through this game today against Coggles Hall United so that we can get through this season undefeated with an invincible squad. Every single one of these players that we've used, who are just the regular standard players we had at the start of the season in this database, will become a legend within hashtag United lore, and I'm sure all of them will go into favoured personnel, and we will try and keep them here as long as humanly possible. But to do that, we need to get past Coggles Hall first. So let's jump into it now. Alright, let's first look at the Coggles Hall team. They've got your Holmes in goal, Allenson at left back behind my head, Sinnott and Hards as their central defensive partnership, Copping at right back, Anderson and Lanka midfield, Nesbitt and Morris will play ahead of him, Cullingworth on the left wing, Wilding on the right, Barrett up top. We've always done well against 4-3-3 formations in this structure. We're going to go with, of course, Andy Cadwas in goal, Ross Gleed at left back. He'll continue ahead of Tom Williams just as we try and build him up and make the most of his potential. Singano at right full back. He's worked his way back from injury over the last couple of weeks. Evans and Stamp as the central defensive partnership. Pollock and Hersett as central midfielders. Tashan Richmond, who for so long was the player of the season, he's been taken over late in the year by Harry Honesty. Richmond at the 10, obviously Honesty on the left wing. Charlie Morley, our leading assist maker for the season, on the right wing, and Daniel Adji up top, which gives us a bench of, potentially, in some of their last appearances for the club, if they are going to retire, our older heads of Jamie Jackson, Jack Harrison, Tom Williams, Ryan Adams, and Dan Brown. There was a part of me that thought about playing them in this game and giving them a farewell, but our second half of the season has been so much better than our first half in terms of the performances we've put together, the results that we've gotten, whatever else. We've only dropped 2 points in the second half of the season, which is absolutely insane. I wanted to continue with this team. This is the team that has gotten us to the title. They deserve to be out there on the last day of the season celebrating it, and we'll bring some of those guys on to give them a bit of a cameo and a bit of a farewell in the last half an hour. Fingers crossed if everything's going well. If Coggles Hall rock up and ruin the party today and get points or take points off us or defeat us, fair play to them. Like, I'm not going to argue about it, but I will be emotionally shattered if anything like that happens. So feel free to chuck a like down the bottom to celebrate what has been thus far a phenomenal season and series, and to give me a bit of emotional and mental support to get through this last game of the season. They've got the ball now, and we have recovered in midfield. Daniel Algie goes back to Scott Pollock, to Tashan Richmond. We have got the ability on the counter here if we get out early. Played out to Harry Honesty on the left wing, who immediately steps inside and finds Tashan Richmond again. He's coming forward now. He's got men in front of him. Instead, he drives from distance when it perhaps wasn't on. I don't think that one was too close to the goal, but at least we've had a highlight. At least we show that we have a little bit about ourselves today and a bit of quality in Tashan Richmond and Harry Honesty getting early highlights in the game. So even though our game doesn't mean a tremendous amount because we stitched up the title a good few weeks and months ago, there's still quite a bit going on in terms of playoff positions, but I'll put that aside because there's a highlight here. Wilding to Anderson, played forward to Nesbitt, who's got the ball in midfield now, switches out to Cullingworth on their left-hand side, hangs the ball up towards backstick. It's well headed away, but I think we've given away a penalty there. Ross Gleed has shoved a Barrett. Maybe that call to not play Tom Williams in the last game of the season is going to come back to bite us because for the first time in a long time, we may go a goal down. Cullingworth to take the penalty. It's pretty much straight down the middle. Andy Cade Watts didn't move, but I can't remember the last time we were actually behind in a game. This is going to test everybody's character and their nerves. It's a good penalty, but Cade Watts maybe could have made a bit better an attempt at it, but he's kept so many clean sheets this year, it's hard to be upset at him about anything. Let's also just maybe, once this comes back live, use a shout and demand more. So demand some sort of response from going a goal down. It's really the first highlight they've seen, and it was a speculative ball into the box. It was headed away convincingly. We've got a highlight here with Tashane Richmond, played towards Harry Honesty, and they've given away a penalty now. Lee Hurst's going to be the man to take it. Usually Tom Williams would, but he's missed 3 or 4 throughout the course of this season and is now on the bench for Ross Glede. Hurst now to take, and he's put it straight at the goalkeeper. We've missed about 5 penalties throughout the course of this season, so maybe that's something we need to look at picking up in the off-season, a designated penalty taker. I guess it depends on who stays and who goes, but everyone's responded pretty well to their feedback and to the shout that we've used. Alright, highlight again now. It's going to come to Glede, who definitely owes me one after giving away that penalty. Scott Pollock with a great crossfield switch towards Farai Singano, who bursts into the box and gets his strike away, but Holmes in the Coggles Hall goal gets his body behind that one. Is that the end of the highlight, or are we going to see a little bit more here? It's a long ball forward. Hurst brings it down, nodded forward to Tashane Richmond, who's heading over towards the left wing. Goes back to Ross Glede now, who does well to keep the ball in, to be fair. Hurst looks for Harry Honesty. There's men in the middle if he can find him. Finds Daniel Adjei for his 13th goal of the season. It's got to be like at least 20 assists for Harry Honesty throughout the course of this season as well, on top of the 26, 27 goals that he scored. Glede and Tashane Richmond with good interchange here. It's a lovely weighted pass from Lee Hurst on his wrong foot. Swings that one around the back of the defender, and it's a fantastic ball to pick out Daniel Adjei, who just nods that one into the far post. We found the equaliser, thank Christ. Like, the amount that I would be sweating if we got into an hour mark, a goal down in this game, I'd be furious. Looking at the stat line, 9 shots, 4 on target, 58% possession. They've only had the 1 shot and the 1 on target from the penalty that we handed to them for no reason whatsoever. Well, I do want to get a win. I want to get to 100 points. Really dig in the fact that it just has 4 100 goals and a goal difference of plus 75. That's absolutely insane. 2 minutes to be added on now at the end of the first half. I don't think we're going to get any further highlights before the referee calls time. And no, we don't. So dressing room, we did miss a penalty. We have found an equaliser after conceding early. I'm still going to use an aggressive one. Not happy with your performance out there. This is a team we should be beating. Glede hasn't responded that well, so I'm going to take him off. And we're going to give Tom Williams, who has been a fantastic servant to the club, the Cypriot international, now 38 years old, a bit of a farewell. And I'm also going to bring on Jack Harrison in central midfield, which means one of Ryan Adams and Dan Brown will miss out, as will Jamie Jackson. But I think it's the right thing to do. So let's start the second half here and see if that is a bit of a spark for everybody. And I'm also going to use a shout demanding more, because it just consistently works. Alright, most people have responded well to that. Charlie Morley is the only one that hasn't. Marcus Stamp's not having the best game. Hopefully he can pick himself up a little bit in the second half. He has responded well. Alright, free kick now from Williams. From distance, 8th goal of the season for Tom Williams. He's better from a free kick situation 25 yards out than he's ever been from a penalty, but we go a goal up. And thank God for that. I would have been absolutely shattered. There's still a lot to play. What am I talking about? Holmes probably could have done better with it, to be fair. It was straight down the middle by the time it curled back to him. But he's just palmed that one back into his own goal. He's on a good match rating though, Holmes. So he's just dropped from a 7 to a 6.9. But up until then, he'd been doing pretty well. Cullingworth now with a free kick. An hour played. Scott Pollock comes out to close him down, but the ball makes its way out to Hards on the right wing. He gets a ball in. And has that been an own goal to Ricky Evans? Evans puts it in his own net, an own goal from Ricky, who's been fantastic since, well, 1, when we were first playing him in midfield early in the season, and then 2, once we signed Scott Pollock and started playing him as a central defender. He's been absolutely brilliant, but I don't know, he just switched off then. It looked like that one hit him in the face and went in. Not going to cover himself in glory too much there. We might look at making our last sub, and I'm a little bit torn. I think I'm just going to go with match ratings on the day. And we're going to give Ryan Adams, who, to be fair to him, has been fantastic in his contributions this year in both goals and assists, the opportunity to come on and replace Charlie Morley on the right wing. There may be a little bit of a change for Ryan Adams next season, depending on who stays and who goes. But we might use him in a slightly different role to get him on the park more often than we have this past year. But we'll talk about that a little bit further. Here we go. I've got a free kick now with Farai Singano. Plays across to Tashane Richmond at the top of the box. He strikes from distance. What a goal that is. It's Tashane Richmond, his 17th goal of the season, hits the underside of the crossbar from about 20 yards out. Could the keeper have done better with it? It's a good strike on his left peg, and it just always looks better when a goal dings underneath the crossbar like that. And I think eventually it hit the upright on its way in. And we've got an immediate highlight after the goal, so anything could happen here. They've still only had one chance, one shot, but the own goals brought them back into it. Williams now switches out to the left-hand side to Harry Honesty. Daniel Adjie and Ryan Adams are hanging around back stick, but instead Honesty kind of shoots from an area where it would have been difficult to cross, let alone strike. But we are peppering their goal at the moment. 19 shots, 10 on target, 61% possession. I'm going to use another shout, and I'm going to say get creative. So Coggles Hall are safe. They will, even if they lose today, they'll stay in 15th spot. Negative 14 goal difference. A win, the highest they could get to is 12th. So not a massive amount for them to be playing for either. But I'm sure they would love to be the one team that beats us this season. So we do need to remain switched on. Alright, our get creative shout didn't do what I wanted to, and a lot of people feel pressured. So we might wait until Demand More comes back up again and then throw that up there for the last 15 minutes or so. To be honest, I'd be content with a 3-2 comeback victory. That would be fine with me. Alright, Demand More. We'll see how this one comes through. And everyone's pretty much focused after that. Ricky Evans is a little bit complacent, which is disappointing given that he's given away a own goal and the fact that Ross Gleed gave away a penalty and the fact that we missed our own penalty. It's really a game of what could have been rather than what it is. But I guess, same token, it could have been a disaster. We could have not come back. We could have lost 2-1 or lost 2-0. Ryan Adams has picked up a knock, but I don't have any other subs to use to take him off, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. We'll just see if he can get through the last 5 minutes. And then he's got about 3 months before he needs to play another competitive fixture. Alright, 5 minutes to be added on by the referee. It looks like we're going to get one more highlight before the game itself ends. It's long ball forward towards Wilding. I'm disappointed Tom Williams didn't challenge for that one. But here's the old boy of the team. Wilding back to Copping. Out to Whitehead now. They've only had one previous highlight, and that's a decent drive from Whitehead. Just goes wide of the near post. Not sure if Cade Watts had it covered, but I'll have faith in him. Alright, about 30 seconds remaining now. We just have to hold on for the last little bit. I'm not going to touch anything. We do have one more highlight here. Singano to Harrison. Switches it out to Pollock. We've got 2v1 on the left-hand side if we can find it. Tom Williams comes forward now, hangs the ball up. It's going to come all the way across to Singano, who gets the ball back in, lands to Ryan Adams. He gets his strike away. Jack Harrison now resets through Singano again. Do we have another highlight in us? Backstick towards Harry Honesty, and the referee has called full time. It is an undefeated season. Who saw that coming in episode 1 when we were going through the team and through the squad? That is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to passionately say, well done, lads. That was a good win for us. No need to be a dick about anything. Yes, we could have won by a bigger margin. Yes, we could have taken more of our opportunities, but we fought back from an early goal down, an early penalty conceded. We had our own chances. We took about enough of them to get the win. Firstly, how fantastic does seeing 100 look on a points tally league? That is absolutely phenomenal. 76 plus goal difference, which is just ridiculous. We won the league by 34 points in the end. I nearly did the math incorrectly, and I'm sure the comment section below would have destroyed me on that one. Hashtag United secure victory at West Street. We reached a century of league goals in that game. We reached a century of points for the season, which is absolutely phenomenal. Tashane Richmond, of course, gets player of the match. He had such a fantastic season for us as well. Superb in front of goal with that wonderful strike off the underside of the crossbar. And we finish the season unbeaten. Hashtag United are celebrating after they've managed to go the entire Eastern Counties League Division 1 season without losing, winning an incredible 32 of their 36 games, which is absolutely wonderful. Harry Honesty finishes with top league goal scorer of 24. Tashane Richmond, probably our best performer over the course of the season, and Andy Cade Watts, the captain at the back, 17 clean sheets. And Tashane Richmond has expressed his admiration for me and everything that I've done, when in truth, the formation, we haven't had to do too much to it. We've just tweaked it every couple of weeks when we've had issues, like stepping out to fullbacks quicker, changing our marking at set pieces and stuff like that as well. But really, we just kind of put a very simple platform out there and let the team do what it's supposed to do. You can overcomplicate things sometimes, particularly in lower league management series as well. So yeah, shit's just worked out really well for us. I don't know what to tell you. If we have a look at this one as well, this very difficult to get achievement. Your team played the entire season without losing a league game, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's been a while since I've had this one. I think I mentioned it in the last episode, but I think there was maybe 1 or 2 seasons with a really long-term save. I did 6 or 7 different iterations of the game ago. I have not, in a recent game, since they changed the tactics and the level of complexity to it, gone through an unbeaten season. We may never see this again on this channel. So let's just look at our quick breakdown for the club itself. Harry Honesty, top scorer of 26 goals. He also had the highest average rating. I think Tashan Richmond will just beat him because of the ratings in the league, whereas Harry Honesty played a bit better in cup competitions and things like that. Charlie Morley finished the season with the most assists, 15. Daniel Adji had the highest pass completion, which is really interesting to see. Most player of the match awards, Harry Honesty, of course. Most yellow cards to Ricky Evans and Lee Hersett, given they both played those central midfield roles, those real ball-winning defensive players. That kind of makes the most sense to me. 0 red cards throughout the course of the season. As we spoke about, the most goals scored, the fewest conceded, the fewest yellow cards, the fewest red cards, but that's because more than one team had none. The highest average attendance, absolutely fantastic. And we did it with pretty much the same 20 players that we started the season with. The only addition was Scotty P, Scott Pollock, remember the name. We've still gotten through the season with a bunch of players that have potential to play at higher divisions. Lee Hersett has continued his progression fantastically well, as has Marcus Stamp. Scott Pollock, we'd like to see him grow a little bit more in terms of star ability, but I think he's been great. He's 18 now as well, which should see him continue to improve. He'll have a couple more seasons with this blacked out number here before it really settles for him. Charlie Morley was great. Farai Singano played most of the season. In real life, I think he's one of the best #United players that they have. Plays more as a centre back, but his stats in the game serve better playing as that right fullback, so that we can keep Marcus Stamp in the team as well. Dan Brown, of course, didn't get quite the level of production that we wanted from him. We might actually switch now and have a look at everybody's stats. Lee Hersett and Ricky Evans and Tashan Richmond, all three of them well and truly ahead of everybody else in terms of passes completed and passes attempted, which is absolutely fantastic. Neither Jamie Jackson or Andy Cadwatts made a passing mistake for the entire season, which is absolutely phenomenal. If we look at our goals here, we had 5 players in double figures for the season, which is absolutely fantastic. Harry Honesty leading the way with 26 from only 105 shots, which is phenomenal. Tashan Richmond with 17. Ryan Adams with 17 as well. Given that he was a bit part player for so long, that is so impressive. Dan Brown with 14, Daniel Adji with 13. Tom Williams chipped in with 8 as a left back, mainly from set pieces and stuff like that, which is tremendous. Theo Baker in a super sub role more often than not, 6 goals for himself, which is a phenomenal return. If we look at our average ratings across our league campaign, Harry Honesty, Tashan Richmond, Tom Williams, Ryan Adams, Lee Hersett, Kane Brougham. So some surprises there given that they weren't starters in the team. But really, like, to have everybody above a 6.6 average rating means they came on and they contributed to the season however it went. Daniel Adji and Scott Pollock, phenomenal pass percentages as well, particularly for Scott Pollock, given that he is so young and plays central midfield. Scott Pollock and Lee Hersett both averaging over 3.5 tackles a game. Tekka's Guru getting involved. Ricky Evans, Farai Singano, like, that's just phenomenal play. Harry Honesty, Tashan Richmond, Ryan Adams, Charlie Morley, all averaging more than 1 dribble per game or 1 successful take on. Shot conversion, Theo Baker, 75% of his shots on target to take, and that is fantastic. Our leading creators, Ryan Adams actually had 12 in the league. Charlie Morley following that with 11. Tashan Richmond with 10. But 17 clear-cut chances created is fantastic. Harry Honesty ended up with 24 league goals and 9 league assists. He would have got a couple more in cup competitions as well. Ricky Evans chipped in, as did Tom Williams, as did Lee Hersett. Just people contributing all around the place here, which is phenomenal to see. We have a look at our cup campaign now. Our Eastern Counties League Cup successful, the first trophy we ever won as a club. Highest average rating in that one was Theo Baker. Ross Gleed followed just behind him. We tore some teams apart in the early part of that competition, so it makes a ton of sense to me. Across the board, 5 different Player of the Match award winners, which is wonderful to see. Leading scorer in that competition, Daniel Adji, of course. Most assists goes to Charlie Morley in that one, as well as chances created. We have focused on a lot of positive stuff. We'll now look at the bad one, which was when we lost in the first round of the FA Bays. So nobody particularly covered themselves in glory in that game. It was early in the season. We were still trying to figure out the tactic and everything. Singano had the worst game. Williams had the best. It is what it is. It's the only game we lost in our entire season against Liver's Edge in the second qualifying round. It is what it is. It was always going to happen. I never anticipated us going through the season undefeated. That's happened somehow, miraculously, despite riding our luck at various points. We got through to the Eastern Counties League Cup final, beating teams in the division above us. That never really should have happened. We've had a phenomenal season. I'm not going to complain about the one defeat that we had. Now let's compare ourselves to some of the other teams in the competition itself. Sadly, it looks like that there's no playoffs in this one. Like, you had to win the league, which makes it all the more important and fantastic that we did. Right, team overview. We, of course, had the most goals we already spoke about. Most clean sheets, least conceded. highest average attendance, highest attendance by capacity, second most possession, which is an interesting one given that we're set up in a counter-attacking style, which I think will serve us well as we're trying to jump up leagues. Best home form we finished with, best away form as well, best overall form. If we go into the detailed ones here, penalties we had 9, we scored 6 of them. I feel like we missed way more penalties than that. We won the most headers in the competition by some distance to Braintree Town, second most in the headers won ratio. Our longest win streak was 8 games consecutively. We scored in 27 games in a row, 36 of course without losing, an undefeated season. And they had the 6th best cross completion, but I guess that kind of makes sense in the way that we set up. We're very narrow. We scored the most from indirect free kicks, the 8th most from direct free kicks. That one's entirely on Tom Williams. We created the most chances of any team, second most shots on target. Credit to Fire United actually, 55% of their shots on target. They finished bottom of the league, which is crazy. Most fouls against, third most tackles won. Tackles won ratio wasn't that great. We only conceded 1 penalty in that game, sure enough, at the end of the season, which is absolutely insane. We didn't spend anything on transfers. Our salary per annum is the 3rd highest in the competition of 86k. Look at that drop off though, like Braintree Town, Brightling Sea Reserves, then you drop down to Burnham Ramblers at 7.3. So I guess we do have a bit better financing than most other teams at this division. So the one thing that I'm concerned about is that some of these players are probably going to look to retire in the next few years, if not before this season finishes. Jamie Jackson's 41, Tom Williams is 38, Brown's 35, Harrison's 34, Cade Watts is 33, Couch, Adams and Guru are now all over the age of 30. So some of these players aren't really going to get any better. They're only going to move backwards. We do have a strong youth contingent. Some of the players down here that you can see as our youngest players have played the majority of our games. But I always think it's really important to continue looking towards youth and looking towards the next player, like who's going to be the next Jamie Jackson, who's going to be the next Tom Williams, the next Dan Brown. And part of what I've done, and if you look at this map that you can see just here now, is put together a map of pretty much every Championship Premier League team that's close to Hashtag United. So if you look at Hashtag United up here in the top right next to Tottenham, that's where Coles Park Stadium is based. Tottenham's figure is where White Hart Lane's based, the Emirates Stadium for Arsenal, whoever else. But we've got some really big clubs that are nearby that are constantly every year going to be releasing under 18 talent. Now, I recommend that everybody that's doing a lower league management save, even like the Vanarama Conference South or North or whatever else, go and have a look at an actual map and see what teams are closest to you, because they all have a geographical location and it'll determine what players are willing to move to what areas to get close to you. So like previous saves, previous lives, not on YouTube, but I've been with FC United, and you know that you have like both the United and City academies that you can poach from. There's also places, teams like Stockport in that area that you can look at getting players from because it's close for them where they're currently living. I've been Truro City before, and I nearly did them for this series before obviously all the Hashtag United stuff was announced. Plymouth Argyle's close to them, Exeter City, Torquay. Knowing who your neighbours are is always super, super handy because it'll help you plan for what players you can get each year. And that's what we've done and applied to the shortlist as we look at it now. So a few of these players from each place. There's a couple that have already been released, Candy and Elstone, kind of in the area. They're a little bit older, but mainly focusing on players in the under 18 competitions that we can look to bring in. We've already spoken about Matt Carter and how we want to look at him. Shout out to Benny XD if he's watching this episode. Chike Candy, Michael Elstone, they're in the area already. We kind of know about them. They're decent players for this level and for this division, but we would only look to bring them in if someone's retiring and someone's leaving. And of course, Akinfenwa, I will leave Akinfenwa on the shortlist until he retires, and even then I'm going to try and bring him in as a coach because I'm desperate to have him in this game. But the rest, some of these players are really, really solid options. They're all being scouted at the moment. They're all sitting around 80s, so they're mostly players that will eventually be high potential. But that's what we want to keep an eye on. That's going to be our focus during the off-season, is looking how do we bring in the next lot of Hashtag United youngsters that are getting released from these bigger clubs. Some of them won't want to come. Some of them we are still too small a fish for them to actually come and visit. Some of them don't want to take non-contracts. You can see from the values of some of the players here, like 30k, 34k, they're not going to want to get involved here. But we are at least going to look at them. We're at least going to go after them a little bit. The hope is that we'll be able to keep our group of 21 together and no one's going to leave. Everyone's going to stay and see out their careers here at Hashtag United. They all love the club, but we at least have a plan. We at least have stuff up our sleeve to look to try and bring in, to grow, to get better, to continue bouncing up the leagues as quickly as we can. So you guys likely won't see too much of that. We'll probably skip ahead to the end of next pre-season. do a pre-season review, go through who we've brought in, go through who might have left, any changes to our backroom staff, any changes to our squad structures, stuff like that. We'll review all of that in the next episode, the first episode of season 2. But if you have any feedback, if you have any lower league gems that you know about, please put them in the comment section below. Let me know what players you guys have been using in your own saves. The level 10 database is now out there through the FM editor. You can do your own #United series. You're probably going to get through the games a little bit quicker than I do, just because of like the editing time. And of course, Australian internet is horrible. If anyone's ever told that to you, uploading an episode can take forever. But I'm more than happy for you to put your comparisons to your own series down there as well. Thank you so much to everyone who supported our first season, who's liked videos, subscribed to the channel, checked us out on Twitter, done whatever they can to support us. I really do appreciate it. It means a tremendous amount to me. Shout out, of course, to our key collaborators. Please go and check out their stuff as well. There's links in the description below. Thanks to #United for being cool about us doing this save and being supportive about it. But it's just the start. It's season 1. We've got hopefully heaps more seasons to go so that we can get all the way up to Premier League and Champions League football. As always though, I've been Sean. I'll see you guys in the mixer, and of course, don't forget to # it.